Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am joined here, as always, by the man who can no longer say he has won as many games this season as the Detroit Lions. Kyle, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Stress-free weekend.
Right.
Not a whole lot to worry about this week in my terms. It was pretty nice. Exciting week, exciting day of football, and I just got to kind of sit back and enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, as a Bucs fan, it was a relatively stress-free weekend as well, but we'll get into that in a second. Yeah, you obviously, a big Patriots-Bills game tomorrow. I'm sure you're going to be a nervous wreck for that, but we have a lot of fun stuff to talk about. I thought this was a good week, Kyle. A lot of chaos throughout the day.
Yeah, it started with the morning games. Obviously, there's a couple we'll talk about, and then, outside of Jacksonville, every afternoon game was really good too, and it led to I just thought an overall pretty good day. I mean, there was a couple stinkers sprinkled in there, but for the most part, competitive games throughout.
Yeah, I agree. And we have to start off with one of those stinkers, the Broncos Chiefs here, where, I mean, listen, it was competitive for at least a decent chunk. I think the highlight of this game for sure was Teddy Bridgewater throwing a pick six to Daniel Sorensen and Denver acting like he was like prime Barry Sanders trying to tackle him out there. Just that was a tough look for Denver.
Yeah, I mean, the game got away from him at the end. Bridgewater had a couple bad throws that resulted in interceptions on those ones, but you know, Denver had the right strategy in this game, and the problem was they either went 20 plays or they went three and out at times, and it just seemed like at the beginning it just was no in between. I thought Javonte Williams was awesome in this game. He was every bit as advertised. Really good rookie running back. I thought he was really good in this game, but it just comes down to you know if you're going to have a 20-play, 88-yard drive. I almost tweeted off, wow, this is an amazing drive. Exactly what you want to do against the Chiefs. You got to score points. I mean, it's as simple as that. You got to score points on that. You can debate about the fourth down call, but at the same time, like they converted 2 fourth downs on that drive to keep it going. So you can't fault it too much for wanting to keep going with it. I think you got to go for touchdowns against Kansas City anyway. It just didn't work out. Tough break for them, but yeah, you got to score points to keep up.
Yeah, I think I agree. Also, Kyle, this is the sports media business. We can absolutely pick and choose and be results oriented about these fourth down decisions. In fact, that's what most people seemingly do. But I agree that you can't complain about that one if you're not complaining about the first two. Kenneth Lee with a super chat. Ben Neiman tipped that pass too. So yes, making sure Ben Neiman gets the credit he deserves for the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, I mean, listen, it was a weird. One of those odd games. I think we all kind of knew it was looking rough for Denver when they had a 20-play drive resulting in no points. It's like you got to find a way to get the ball into the end zone on that drive. I still think the Broncos are okay. I guess the question is this Chiefs defense actually like kind of good?
It seems like it.
Yeah.
I thought Spagnuolo. I thought he delivered a kind of a masterclass defensive coordinator calling. Yeah, I mean, it seemed like every time that he dialed up blitzes, it worked, and it just seemed like he always had guys in the right place. I thought he had a really good job. Outside, Williams kind of going off was really the only thing, but he's just a good running back. It just seems like that they're a good defense now, and we just kind of have to accept that. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was an interesting thing. I will say real quick, right before that 20-play drive that resulted in no points, I don't care what the ruling was. That was a fumble. That's a fumble. Like, if that's not a catch and a fumble, then I don't know what is anymore. Guy takes 2 steps, tucks the ball, and sticks out to stiff arm, and it's an incomplete pass. No way.
Was this the Travis Kelce one?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't think that was a fumble. I thought it was. I didn't think he made a football move. I thought right when he had the second foot down is when the ball came out.
But I believe they've established that tucking the ball counts as a football move now.
But isn't it you have to have 2 steps and then the football move, right? So I believe it's kind of weird where he had a step, he made a move, but then he got the other step and then the ball came out. So it's like all 3 parts happened, but just not in the correct order.
Yeah. I'm still saying I thought it was a fumble.
Okay, fine. That's okay. We make our own rules here.
Yeah.
It's like whose line is it anyway? The points are made up. The rules don't matter.
Yeah. I mean, overall, though, I thought Kansas City was pretty good in this game. 22 points is obviously not their standard, but I thought, we knew Denver's game plan was kind of built to disrupt this Kansas City offense. I thought at times they did a good job of taking the underneath stuff. I thought they ran the ball pretty well throughout spurts of this game when they needed to. And, like I said, they didn't put up a ton of points, but I thought they just moved the ball pretty consistently.
Yeah, I think so as well. Also, I guess maybe I'll fight back a little bit. Was Williams really that great in this one? Like, he was fine. I thought it was good. I didn't. When I saw him, at no point was I like, okay, this guy is the next big thing.
Well, I'm not saying he's like, Walter Payton reincarnated, but 178 yards in this game, total yards.
That's true. I mean, I guess maybe more of the receiving aspect. I kind of, the way I viewed it is like, okay, this team had no interest in stopping the pass whatsoever. They were not giving any stuff for Teddy Bridgewater. He still got 4.4 yards per carry on the ground. I think that's. I guess that's pretty good. I said it backwards. I mean, I guess that's an all right stat line. I think he is getting a little bit overhyped, but he was good. I don't know. My inner hater is coming out.
I would say for a rookie running back, this was a good performance.
Sure.
I think he's got, I'm not going to say, I think someone said he's a top 10 running back already. I'm not ready to say that, but I think he's good. I definitely like what I've seen from him. I think he's someone to build on for the next few years.
Yeah. There's a super chat. Herbert is a stud and one hell of an American us. I'm not sure what that means, but yeah, Herbert is good. Back to the Chiefs Broncos game. Teddy Bridgewater was not great in this one.
No, he was not. And it wasn't even great before the interceptions, but the interceptions kind of made it a little bit worse. I don't know. It just seemed like that this blitz was getting to him. I mean, this team had a ton. Denver actually had a ton of yards in this game. They ended up with over 400 yards, but it just kind of seemed uninspiring. It just seemed like nothing was really happening. I mean, it's kind of like a Teddy Bridgewater performance to me, right? Like it's all right, but it's nothing that you're going to hang your hat on or hope for it to be better.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what's weird is with in the AFC, there's still so many wide open. We'll get to it when we talk about some other teams, but you still have just so many teams that could get those playoff spots still. That the Denver Broncos are certainly one of those teams that still stands a chance here. And for Kansas City, I think that I do think the Chiefs are back. I think the Chiefs are proving they're a legitimate championship contender still.
Yeah. And just real quickly, we'll go through it so everybody knows where it's at. Buffalo's the 5 seed at 7-4. Chargers are 7-5 at the 6 seed. Bengals are 7-5 at the 7 seed. And then after that, it's 6-5-1, 7-6, 6-6, 6-6, 6-6, and 6-7 Miami Dolphins back in the conversation, back from the dead. So, I mean, there is there's still 13 teams that are vying for playoff spots.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the Jets, the Texans, and the Jaguars are out. Any of these other teams stand a chance. It's pretty crazy stuff here. Let's move on. Let's go to Kyle. I think we got to lead off with this. I think the biggest story of this week. How about your guy Dan Campbell getting his first win? How are you as a big member of the Dan Campbell fan club? How are you feeling?
I was so freaking annoyed. I said I wasn't going to watch this stupid game. And then all of a sudden I see the score is Detroit's winning. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to turn this on because I have to find something to talk about. And I mean, lo and behold, they played pretty well in this game. They almost blew it. They wanted to do everything they can to lose this game. But then the Vikings gave it right back to them and said, no, you take it. We're good. I thought Kirk Cousins was really good in the second half, but it just seemed like everything in Minnesota, didn't want to do anything in the first half. I did not think this was Mike Zimmer's best performance as a head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. I thought it was just a bad game overall. But end of the game, Jared Goff goes down and gets it done.
Yeah, I mean, just an insane game in the final minutes too, where it's like, okay, Dan Campbell decides to go for it on 4th and 1 in their own territory, up 2 points, which I actually kind of liked. I thought it was a good move. Like, it didn't work out, but I think that's the smart. Like, I looked at the 4th down decision bot, and it said it was like the strong recommendation was to go for it. Just didn't work out. That happens sometimes. And I thought that so it's like, okay, now the Vikings are going to win. And then it just almost that final drive where Mike Zimmer, his defense was doing good. I mean, only had given up 3 points the entire second half. And he says, let's just go full prevent here, this final drive. And it was just a horrible decision. And especially that final play where it's like,
Yeah.
did you guys not think that a zone buster could be happening here? I mean, that
They
was
were
just
prevent defense in the back of the end zone.
mhm.
Like you
But
can
they
score
weren't
in the
even playing
front of
like
the end zone.
it was like such an obvious concept. Like what Detroit did is a very simple thing to try and beat zone coverage. Like it was a very simple concept, and like Cameron Dantzler was acting like, there's a guy over there. Well, I'll make sure I make a tackle 5 yards into the end zone. It's like you got to go cover the guy.
Yeah, it was a very weird call because the thing is they had two guys over there too. And they were both playing deep. Like they could have shaded one over top and one underneath. They didn't do that. They were both playing to like allow the catch, which is the most ridiculous thing ever when they're in the end zone. Yeah, I mean, we keep joking about this, but honestly, like this Vikings team isn't in the playoffs now again. After all this, they're back out of the playoffs. Like, what do we actually think about this team? Like, is this the same thing we keep saying that it needs a coaching change?
I think so. I mean, they're one of the most difficult teams to really get, put my finger on, I think. For one thing, Justin Jefferson, 182 yards in this game. I mean, this guy is putting up like Hall of Fame. He has 1,200 yards this season. He's going to have 1,400 yards as long as he doesn't get hurt in back-to-back seasons. The guy he has a chance to get like 3,000 yards in his first 2 years of his career. Him alone should be giving you like you should get the 500 just having Justin Jefferson on your team. Adam Thielen did go down early in this game, so you can argue that's a factor, but it's still no excuse to beat the Lions. I thought Kirk Cousins played well. Like Kirk Cousins, it's so weird because every single game I'm like, yeah, like he's done exactly what the offense asked him to do on every single play. Like he like never he rarely, I won't say never, but he very rarely screws up the play. He's almost always exactly what you want him to do. Honestly, the offense wasn't even really the issue. It's just how you can't give up. You can't let Jared Goff go off on you. You just can't let that happen.
Yeah. Well, I think the one thing I'll say about the offense is you can't go down 14 before you start doing what your offense does best. And we keep talking about this, but it's like they wait until they're down a touchdown or more and say, okay, we'll start throwing the ball now. And that doesn't work. You put yourself in a position to lose games like this if you're going to wait until the other team's up to start throwing the ball and doing what you do best. Yeah, I mean, I thought, like you said, Cousins was good in this game. He was terrific in the second half. Jefferson was unreal in this game. I mean, there's nothing really you can complain about the offense. You just got beat.
Yeah, and another crazy stat about this. Usually when you see one of these upsets, you look at the third down efficiency, and it's like, okay, like some craziness happens where like the team that, pulled off the upset, like went like, like 10 for 11 on third downs, and they just got lucky there. The Lions were 2 for 11 on third downs and 1 for 3 on fourth downs. Like if anything, like the Lions were probably unlucky in this one. The Lions turned the ball over twice to the Vikings turning it over once. The Vikings did outgain the Lions, 6 yards per play to the Lions 5.2. But I don't know, just this this is a tough loss for Minnesota.
Yeah, it is. Congrats to the Lions. You finally pulled one of these out. You made every game possible close. I mean, the Vikings have also made every game as close as possible. But the Lions have battled in all of these games. They finally got one to go their way.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's good for the Lions. I mean, you don't want to go 0-16, or in this case, 16-1. Like, you want to get a win on the board, so good for everyone. I'm actually interested in, I keep hearing, like, my friend texted me, it's like, I like the Lions, they're bad, but they try every single week. It's like, why does everyone keep saying this? Like, you're supposed to try. It's the NFL. I still don't understand that that's what their biggest credit is for, but good for them for pulling off the victory.
Yeah, I mean, completely. I mean, I think that people say they try, and I say they try because, I mean, it's clearly a talent deficit.
Sure.
And it just looks like that's the only excuse that they're in this games, right? Is that they're trying harder than the other team? I don't know. Maybe teams are taking off, or hitting the brakes when they're playing the Lions.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. But also, if that is what we're thinking about, well, how much do you try when you're 1-10? Because you're going to try more when you're 0-10-1 than when you're 1-10-1. I think that's also a point worth pointing out.
Yeah. As John Hassan says here too. That's incredible.
No, yeah, I believe the Lions are like 8-4 against the spread. Yeah. Interesting. I saw a tweet that said like good teams win, great teams cover. It's like, wait, no, covering isn't losing by 10 when your spread is 14. But yes, Also, the great overlap in the chat. Hello, my feathered friends. It is this channel's #1 financial supporter back to announce we are 1 week closer to Jackson wearing the penguin costume. Yes, let's hopefully, again, as overlap reminds us every week, if the Buccaneers win the Super Bowl, I will wear a penguin costume for an entire podcast. So, I mean, is this just Mike Zimmer's just going to be fired because of this game? Like when he gets fired, they're just going to show him this game.
If they miss the playoffs, he's got to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they make it, I think it's a little harder to justify. But at the same time, if they miss the playoffs and they miss it by a game, and this is the game that causes them to miss the playoffs, yeah, I think that they would probably say, "You lost to the Lions, we missed the playoffs, you're done."
Yeah, wild stuff. Let's move on. Let's go to another game. Let's go to how about Ravens Steelers here? Another upset on this one. Came down to a fourth down, or not a fourth down, a 2-point conversion where the Ravens were not able to convert. This kind of, the Ravens' inability to get receivers open kind of reared its ugly head in this one, I thought, where there's a lack of just getting stuff working. Obviously, Lamar is going to get all the blame for it, and he didn't have his best day on top of that for sure. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve blame, but they really struggled. If you can't get receivers open, you're going to have a hard time. They couldn't get receivers open. How much of that is Baltimore? How much of that is Pittsburgh? I don't know. But I often talk about games are won on the outside, and people are going to bring up all the sacks. TJ Watt, 3.5 sacks, Chris Wormley, 2.5 sacks. A lot of them were, 5+ second sacks because guys weren't getting open. And also, guys don't get open against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going to come at you. They're going to get those sacks. So tough day for the entire Ravens, Lamar Jackson included, but also the supporting cast.
Yeah. And, the thing is I feel like a lot of this too, like not just the receivers who I think documented on here that is not ideal in Baltimore, the receiving group they have, that's just okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it just also seems scheme wise that it's like, okay, like I don't love Hollywood Brown, but at the same time, he's very clearly your biggest playmaking threat.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just giving him no easy plays to get catches. I think one of the things you saw between these two teams is the second half. I thought both Brown and Johnson struggled in the first half. The second half, the Steelers found easy situations to get Johnson the ball quickly and let him get some space. And Baltimore really did. Brown ended up having a couple plays in the second half, but it just seemed like that there's nothing there's no wide receiver screen, it seems like, set up ever to get him the ball and get him some running room. It seems like there's no quick hitch that's going to get him the ball and give him some running room. It just seems like they're going to keep doing the same methodical RPO stuff and looking downfield for him. And, eventually, he's not good enough to beat it people by himself like he's Davante Adams. I think he needs a little more opportunity to kind of, easy plays to get some, just 8-9 yards.
Yeah, I agree. Get more just pick plays like these, rubber out things, these easy stuff. When teams play man, the Ravens just can't get much going. At least against zone, Greg Roman can kind of scheme some stuff up there, I feel like. But against man, it's difficult. So tough one for the Ravens. What do we make of the Steelers? It's weird, right? Because we all think they suck. Everyone who's watched all the Steelers games is okay, this is clearly not a great football team. But you look at what they have beaten Buffalo, they've beaten the Ravens now, but they've also tied the Lions. So I just don't know what exactly to make of this football team. They are currently, fighting for a playoff spot. It's just a bizarre team. I don't know what exactly to make of them. And
Ben was actually kind of good in the second half. We can make fun of him a lot, and there's a lot to make fun of. He was pretty good in the second half of this game. Bringing them back in this one. And, it's a weird thing, too, where it's this game, they can't really run the ball, but they're able to finally throw the ball, and they can cover all of a sudden. But then there's games where it seems like they can't cover anybody once again, and they can't throw the ball downfield. I mean, I don't really know. I think it's an okay team, I guess, but I don't think it's – I think everybody would be chomping at the bit to play this team in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But they might make the playoffs because they're well coached and they have good players. I think the bit's been well documented for me, but I mean, Johnson's incredible. He really is. He was incredible in this game. He had a touchdown drop, and I'm like, oh man, it's 2020 Deontay Johnson. And then he went and had 7 catches for 100 yards in the second half. And I'm just okay, he's fine with 2 touchdowns too. One was wide open, but at the same time, I just thought he was incredible in this game, and he really lifted this offense when it looked like it was going to struggle throughout this game. He got things going for them. So I just think it has good players, even though it's not a great team overall.
Yeah, there's Kenneth Lee says Tomlin refuses to go below 500. That's true. I mean, you look at their schedule; it's a little bit tough. I mean, we played Minnesota on Thursday. That's just like the ultimate. I have no clue what to make of either of these teams. I'm not betting. No one bet on that game. No one. I mean, it'll probably be fun to watch, but that's a wild one. Then they play Tennessee, Kansas City, Cleveland, and Baltimore. So you beat Minnesota and win one of the next four. That's 8-1. You're back in that. Still haven't had a below 500 season.
Yeah, I think here's the problem though. So I mean, I'm just looking at these two teams. I mean, we talked about Pittsburgh, but so Baltimore going into this game was the 1 seed in the AFC. Would you have picked this team to win the Super Bowl out of the AFC?
No, I mean the AFC is weird, right? Because I guess the Patriots are probably the best team right now, but they don't feel like they're a Super Bowl contender. It's just that there really isn't one in the AFC at this point. The AFC just feels very wide open. And not to say that again, I think Kansas City, I like Baltimore, but Marlon Humphrey's now out for the year, so I can't really put much faith in Baltimore. They're so Lamar centric. Even Buffalo still has I still think has a real chance. So I guess there's a lot of teams that I feel good and I feel like are championship contenders, but there's certainly no I think if I were to do power rankings of the entire league, I think the top 3 teams I pick are all NFC teams. I think I go Arizona, Green Bay, and Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree. I think just for the NFC, I think for the AFC, the problem is that I just if Baltimore ran into New England, Kansas City, or I mean, I'm even going through the list here, even Buffalo to an extent, teams that can run man on them, like you said, they're just not going to win those matchups. They're not going to win that game, right? That just seems like it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, honestly, that's what it is.
I mean, the one thing they had going for them is what it could cover well, but now you've lost Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey for the season. It's okay, it's that's that was your strength of your team was Lamar Jackson, and then your corners. You lose your top 2 corners. It just is a tough situation. Let's move on. Unless you had anything else you wanted to add.
No, I think we covered that.
All right, let's go to kind of these games are a little bit intertwined. Let's go to Niners Seahawks because both came down to the wire at a very similar time. Here you had Jimmy Garoppolo, who ended the day with just shy of literally 1 yard shy of 10 yards per attempt, 299 yards on 30 attempts, had 2 touchdowns, but also 2 interceptions. And that was kind of the killer in this one. George Kittle, 181 yards. Was San Francisco the better team? I think you could certainly make that argument. They did outgain the Seahawks 6.5 yards per play to 4.8 yards per play. Both teams turned the ball over 3 times, just kind of an odd game. And maybe the difference was that fake punt touchdown early on for Seattle.
Well, it wasn't just the fake punt, because I agree that I think on a per down basis, I thought San Francisco was the better team. But you can't win a football game when you have 10 penalties, you turn the ball 3 times, you have a special teams touchdown on a 70-yard fake punt, miss extra point, a safety. All of this stuff happened in Seattle's favor. You can't do that and expect to win a football game, even if you're a better football team. So yeah, I mean, I thought they played better. I thought they were on a per down basis a better football team, but they made a ton of mistakes and it cost them. And you credit Seattle for also capitalizing on those mistakes and also creating turnovers and all that stuff. But that wasn't a good San Francisco game in that regard, and that's why they lost.
Yeah, I think I agree. Also, someone brought up in the chat, Base Zuckerberg, a scary injury on a kickoff. Yeah, that was that was one of those where you just sort of hold your breath for a second. I believe I saw an update that he's. I don't actually notice, so I could be wrong. I saw a tweet that said that he's in a hospital and he is in stable condition, but he's staying there overnight. So best wishes there, because I mean that was one of those. I legitimately thought when I was watching, are we about to watch someone die on a football field?
Yeah. What was the guy? I remember the Buffalo injury too. I think it was Kevin Everett from years ago too. That was a scary one, and I think he ended up paralyzed off that. I mean, it's a scary situation, those kickoffs, and they're trying to do things to prevent the big hits, but at the end of the day, it's still guys running full speed 80 yards down the field, as like projectiles. So it's scary situations.
Yeah, I've always been in the like get rid of kickoffs. They're boring anyways. Like they barely ever. There's the one exception every like 1,000 kickoffs where it's like an exciting play. Other than that, it's almost always boring. Just start the drive at the 25.
I think I agree.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the big part about this too is Reddisley was starting to play pretty well. We'll see if Jamal Adams is able to play. He also got injured in this game, and I think that's. I mean, that's. I don't know if Seattle can actually, win out basically and get a playoff spot, or maybe go 8-9 and get a playoff spot. But losing a guy like Adams, that hurts.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. So again, for San Francisco, it's kind of interesting because them in Minnesota, we kind of had penciled in for those final 2 wild card spots. I think for them, I'm very much in the camp of it's an unfortunate loss, but it's not a disaster. Like you said, they kind of shot themselves in the foot. They're not going to do that every game, and they still do have a couple winnable games on the schedule. I still would pencil in San Francisco for a wild card spot.
This is a team that still controls its own destiny too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're fine. There's still a couple games up on team. There's still a game up on Minnesota, Carolina, half game up on Philadelphia. I'm not too worried about them right now.
Yeah, I think I agree. I don't have a ton else to add. Do you have anything else you want to say about this?
I mean, this was an exciting game.
Yeah.
It's really hard to say anything about Seattle. I mean, it was good to see Russell Wilson play, decent at times in this game, even though I still think at times it seemed out of sync for the Seattle offense. It's just hard to tell. Like, it's hard to judge the Seattle team. If they can win like 4 in a row, then maybe we start thinking about it. But I mean, right now you kind of have to write them off, right?
I mean, yeah, they're not dead. 4-8. You couldn't, if you win your last 5 games, like that at 9-8, that might get you in. But that's basically the situation they're in. Is they're going to have to go all out. Now, the nice thing is, again, they have 3 out of their 5 games are very winnable. Houston, Chicago, and Detroit. Like they'll be favored in those 3. But you play the Rams and you play the Cardinals, and you probably have to win both of those games to get in. Not to mention, even winning 3 games you're supposed to win doesn't always happen. And how good are Seattle really? So you can't completely say they're done, but realistically, they have a very slim chance.
Yeah, I think I agree. So, all right, we can move on from there.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk some balls. Kyle, are the Washington football team, are they going to make the playoffs?
Well, they're in a playoff spot right now. They're the balls are rolling, baby.
Yeah.
Playing some good football. Give them credit for that. Yeah, I was actually going to pitch to you. So 2 games back. Can they catch Dallas?
Ooh, fascinating.
Play them twice.
They play them twice. Okay, they might have to win both of those games to really. They probably would have to win both of those games. I'll say probably not. I think Dallas ends up as the division winner.
Yeah, really weird end of the schedule. By the way, they got Cowboys at Eagles, at Cowboys, home to Eagles, at Giants. Like, how did they end up with 5 division games in their last 5? That's insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's a slim possibility. It seems still unlikely because, like you said, they probably have to go 2-0 in that in those Cowboy games. But it does still seem like it's kind of possible because I think that they can win those. I still think they're capable of winning those games. But I mean, this was just kind of a. I don't know. What did you think about this game? It was just kind of weird to me. It was like the Raiders were like asleep for a half of it, it felt like sometimes.
Yeah, it was another one of those odd games where you're right. Like, I mean, it was just one of those weird, like the Raiders were 2 for 8 on third downs. Like they barely had third downs, but then when they did, they weren't converting on them. And only 1 turnover in this entire game. And I don't know. It was just one of those. It was hard to really know what to make of it. I mean, I remember when we previewed this game, one thing I did bring up was like, hey, a team that's not going to blitz too much against the Raiders, like that could give them some trouble. It pretty much did. I mean, Hunter Renfrow had 100 yards, but their next highest receiver was Josh Jacobs of 38 yards. So they didn't have a lot else going for them. So the offense it wasn't a overly impressive offensive day. It wasn't horrible either, but it was just, again, it's kind of an odd game.
Yeah, and I guess, Jack Del Rio going against his former quarterback, I guess that's something he probably had dialed up. I guess here's the one question. Was Carr too complacent in the first half, I guess is the question. Because I mean, I thought the numbers on him were fine, and I thought he played fine in stretches. But at the same time, like, I think part of this game was that they were desperate for something downfield, and they just didn't do it. And I understand that Washington's probably scheming against it, but you have to think sooner or later you got to take one shot to keep him honest, right?
Probably. I think it's just tough. I mean, one thing I think about with Washington is, remember last year, it's not like they were like a consistently like okay team last year. Like they started off really slow last year and then kind of found their groove, especially defensively towards the end of the season. Could that be happening now where they're just, in zone coverage, it's a lot about communication. It's a lot about chemistry. They did have
Mhm.
some change in personnel this offseason. So maybe just getting the new personnel and kind of getting things working. Is it possible this is just a better Washington defense than it was week 4?
Which is crazy because of all the
Mhm.
guys out right now, you know.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I mean, they're definitely covering a heck of a lot better than they were to start the year. I thought, what's his name? I forget his name. Oh my gosh, let me look it up. Cole Holcomb had.
Mhm.
I mean, he had the pass interference, but he had a couple of huge defensive plays too at the same time. I thought he was good in this game. And that was something that we talked about is like these linebackers don't seem like they can cover anybody. He went back and made a few plays in coverage. I was impressed with his performance. So yeah, I mean, it just seems like that they cover a little better.
Yeah. Also, I believe kind of Logan Thomas should be out for the year, so that sucks. Finally
Yeah.
comes back and is playing well, and now he's out. So I guess the final thing about the Taylor Heineke stuff, I still feel like he's not like a fantastic quarterback, but he's doing some stuff well, and he's apparently this very clutch quarterback who you want. Who would you rather have 2 minutes left in the Super Bowl down 4, Tom Brady or Taylor Heineke?
Ooh,
Hmm.
well, probably got to go Heineke there.
Yeah, I think so as well. Mhm.
Uh, I think, he's done a good job. He did have one turnover in this game, but I thought he's done a pretty good job of limiting turnovers
Mhm.
during this stretch. And that was something that he wasn't doing earlier in the season. Um, so, yeah, I mean, balls are in a playoff position. We'll see if they can do it.
Yeah. Also, should mention he threw one right at Trayvon Moorhead in the final drive that Moorhead just dropped. Like he did try
Yeah,
to throw the game away there. But yeah, fun team. Balls are bouncing.
they are rolling, man.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to let's go. I guess here, why don't we? Chargers Bengals. This was an interesting one. The two quarterbacks from the same draft class, Joe Herbert and Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. Who,
Combining
uh,
them.
yeah, exactly. And I thought both quarterbacks were very much themselves. Both quarterbacks and kind of the best versions of themselves. Now, both quarterbacks had interceptions in this game that were great passes. I don't even
Yeah.
mean like they were the correct pass, and they were like legitimately like impressive passes that ended up in interceptions. So like that was kind of one of those odd things that happens. Burrow also had a bad pick, but that was also kind of late. It was an odd game because the Chargers go up 24-0. The Bengals make it a 2-point game, and at one point it was a 2-point game. Like in the fourth quarter, with Cincinnati having the ball at like the 35-yard line of Los Angeles, there's then the fumble that results in a defensive touchdown, and that kind of iced the game. To me, the highlight of this game though was Justin Herbert was just he went off in this one.
Yeah. And this is kind of what we said about this Chargers team. It's like if Herbert goes off, they're going to be a good team. And they
Mm-hmm.
dropped 41 because he goes for 317, 3 tutties. I mean, just, I mean, he was fantastic. Like you said, they got Mike Williams going, which was the big thing we talked about. And yeah, it just seemed like everyone was kind of rolling for the Chargers. And I mean, we kind of had two sides of this. It's like we thought the Bengals would be able to run on them. They were not. And then we thought the Chargers would be able to throw on them, and they definitely were able to throw on them. So, the Chargers got the strong end in that one.
Yeah, I mean, there was just a number of just like a number of plays from I felt like from Herbert where it's just like nothing is happening. He's just making something happen or making throws like I don't know if anyone else makes in this league. When I was watching this game, I was just like, Herbert's going to win an MVP one year. I don't know like when, but like this is an MVP caliber like talent that we're watching.
Without a doubt. I mean, I
Hmm.
completely agree. And I can see both of these guys winning MVP.
Hmm.
Although, so really weird point here. Joe Burrow leads the league in interceptions now, doesn't he?
Interesting. Maybe.
I think
Think about
I
right.
think he
Hmm.
passed Tannehill with the two. not someone you expect to lead the league in interceptions, but it's like happening this year. Like you said, one of those was not his fault, definitely, but it's just like kind of weird that he's at 14 picks now.
Yeah, that is odd. It also kind of goes to show, like, interceptions maybe not the best statistic to use, but like I also
Yeah.
get like why it gets used, but like it can be very misleading.
I agree 100%. It's just, it is interesting to see that now.
Yeah, looking at his turnover worthy plays on PFF, he has 13, so it's not like it's been like that crazy. Although I believe the ratio is you expect like a turnover worthy play to equal like 0.8 turnovers. So maybe he's earned like 11 turnovers. And that's also including fumbles. But yeah, interesting stuff.
Yeah. So,
All right.
well, I guess, is there a big picture to this one, really?
I think
I
the
think,
Chargers are still good. Like I think we were
yeah.
kind of wondering, like, okay, what are the Chargers? And they're still not a complete team. Like I think sometimes it's not about what you do poorly; it's about what you do well, and what they do well can be very good.
Yeah. I mean, both these teams are in playoff spots right now. I think we like the direction of both of these teams. Did you
hmm
see the Zach Taylor stuff post game that he blamed himself for like two horrendous calls?
No, what was this?
They mentioned two calls. I can't remember the calls they talked about, but he was just like, "Those are both on me. They were horrendous." And I'm just
Okay,
like, "Oh,
hey,
geez."
Zach Taylor sounded like me. I think we both had the same opinion about him, I guess.
I guess so. Because not a good exit interview for himself.
No, yeah. Again, fascinating game. Also, Austin Eckler, like at one point, couldn't stop fumbling.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was bizarre for his standards, but they still scored 41, so they're okay.
Yeah, I guess it gets very true. Let's move on. Let's go to. I'm interested in talking about this game. Cardinals at Bears here, just because Kyler's back. We got to see some Kyler Murray. We got to see Kyler to DeAndre Hopkins here. And again, watching this game, I just really do feel like the Arizona Cardinals are just so good. Like they're just such a
Yeah.
like, talented team. Like their offense is. I keep saying this. They're the one offense who's consistently getting explosives, even against cover two zone. Kyler threw the ball 15 times in this one, and it felt like he had a huge impact. He did run the ball another 10 times, but just felt like he was like electric, even though he didn't have that much even to do. But he made the most of it.
Yeah, happy to see him on the field. That was obviously good, and I mean, it was a pretty easy day at the office. I mean, the Bears got some late game stuff to kind of
hmm
make this a little closer, but at the same time, like, yeah, it was a pretty easy day at the office for the Cardinals, and I am kind of happy they only gave him 25 touches. I didn't want, this is 2 years in a row now where we've seen him kind of banged up, and
hmm
the conversations on he's not a big guy. It's not an easy thing to talk about, but it's like you don't want him to get banged up at that size. Hopefully he can you know, last to the playoffs. That's the hope.
Yeah. Gage in the chat says rough night for Broncos fans. At least Pookie Williams hit the over on carries and won me $50. Oh, so congratulations, Gage, on the super chat, on the winning your bet and then using it on at least part of it on a super chat.
There you go. Well, we
hmm
appreciate your betting habits.
hmm
So I guess this is pretty interesting. So tough end of the season for the Cardinals here. Home against Los Angeles, the biggest game of the season at Detroit. Uh Home to the Colts, at the Cowboys, and then the Seahawks. So do you view this team as getting the 1 seed this year?
Yeah, that's what's fascinating is the because the Packers are kind of a little bit. It's fast. I think really what comes down to it goes to show how important that AJ Green mix up was in the Packers game because they're almost a lock for it had he made that catch. But yeah, the Rams, that's a one where it could go either way, and the Cowboys could go either way. So you're thinking if you lose one of those, the hope is that you go 4-1 down the stretch, right? And then the question
Mhm.
becomes, can the Packers go undefeated down the stretch? And you would assume maybe not. I don't know. I think I would lean yes, right? Because Green Bay still has to play Baltimore, although Baltimore maybe not what we thought they would be now that they have some injuries. So I think it's between those two. Even Tampa Bay could squeak in there. It's up in the air, I guess is the way to say it.
Yeah, it's interesting because I mean the Colts are definitely a team I wouldn't want to play either too. And as far as 4-win teams, you got to say the Seahawks are the most talented. So
Yeah,
it's not like the easiest schedule outside of the Lions. So although the Lions are playing their best football right now, so we'll see.
right. Maybe that'll screw over the Packers losing to the Lions. Actually, no chance. Aaron Rodgers lets a divisional rival screw him over. It could be some other team, but not the Lions. No chance.
That Minnesota game could come back to haunt them.
That's true. I mean, honestly, the Kansas City game where he missed it because he had COVID, it's probably the biggest one that could go back to haunt him.
Oh, you mean after months of not following protocols? But
Yes.
never mind.
Also, super chat. Appreciate your content. Good stuff. NFL will fix games so Pats and Bucks wind up in a Super Bowl. Money, money, money. Ratings. Rocket ship emoji. Rocket ship emoji. Rocket ship emoji. Hey, I hope so. Sure. About time to start fixing things in my favor.
They can fix that.
Yeah, absolutely. Where do I have to? What Venmo do I have to send money to make that happen? I'll start a GoFundMe for it.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
All right. Yeah. For us, I mean, we touch on the Bears. Andy Dalton, not his best game. Throws the ball to the other team 4 times. That's 4 more than you would like. I mean, again, it was tough. The Arizona defense still does cover well, and I thought he did some nice things as well. But it was just this was a tough one for the Bears.
That's been kind of the theme of the season, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's fair. This was a game for the Chicago Bears, the better way to say it.
Yeah. I thought he did some good things. He did a lot of bad things, obviously. It's a guy who probably isn't going to be, getting starting consideration next year. So,
yeah, and this is back where it's like, okay, this is why we want to see Justin Fields, because the Bears are just incredibly boring without him.
Yeah, exactly. I'm all for that. So
yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on. Let's go to, I know some fans in the chat want to talk about this game. The Mammals, the Miami Dolphins, finding a way to beat Mike Glennon and the red hot New York Giants. Huge win against a Super Bowl contending team in the Giants.
How annoying is this team going to be at 7-7?
Oh, so because they play the Jets next week, so they're going to be 7-7.
Although it seems like every time we say that they would. I mean, this is the goofiest thing I've ever seen in my life. They won 1, lost 7 in a row, then they're going to win 6 in a row, and then they're probably going to lose their final 3, and everyone's like, "We told you the Dolphins were good." No, they're going to be. I mean, the thing is though, is that it's why. I mean, outside of the Ravens win, good win, you have Texans win, at Jets win, home to the Panthers win, which, just fired their offensive coordinator weirdly, and then home to the Giants win. So
without Daniel Jones.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just don't really know what to think of this team, but they're winning football games, so give them credit.
Yeah. Luke Brown, super chat. Tua is playing incredible. Put some respect on his name, and then 3 dolphin emojis. Tua's playing well. I'll definitely give you that. I mean, his numbers it's one of the weirder stat lines, right? 30 for 41 for only 244 yards. So you're thinking like, well, that's not, 30 completions for 244 yards, but he's playing well, and that's a lot of by design of the system. He's another guy where it's like he's doing what the team is asking him to do. So you can't really fault him for that.
Yeah, and Jalen Waddle continues to put in a quietly really good season. I think he's second in the league in receptions.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if not, he's at least top 5. I mean, he's playing really good football. He's doing really good stuff for them.
Yeah, he's already at 86 receptions for 849 yards.
When's the last time a rookie had 100 receptions? Did Jefferson do it last year?
I don't know.
I'm going to get IT on this. Let me look it up. But yeah, I mean, overall, I just thought, it was a good performance from the Dolphins. But I mean, I still don't really know how to judge this team fairly. And I think it's fair to say I don't really know how to judge this team when he had 88 receptions last year, so he did not. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, I don't really know how to judge this team. That's all I can really say, because they're beating the bad teams in the NFL, but at the same time, they're winning the games on their schedule.
Yeah, it's tough because it's hard to hold it against them. Like they're only beating bad teams. Like they're only playing bad teams, really, and they beat the one good team that they did play as well. So it's hard to totally hold it against them either. But you're right; they're just a wild card. I'll say this to appease the Dolphins fans in the chat: they're better than I thought they would be after they lost to the Jaguars.
Yeah. I think that's a fair assumption. But I mean, down the stretch, look, you're probably going to be 7-7. Your season's predicated on the last 2-3 weeks of the season. You're getting the Saints with probably Kamara back on Monday night. You're getting the Titans, who are still probably a playoff team, even though they're dealing with injuries. And then you're hosting New England, which you got to beat for a second time. So you're probably going to have to win 2 of those games.
But I don't think it's impossible for them. Like the Saints
Yeah.
game and the Titans game, given how banged up those two teams are, I don't think it's impossible that Miami could at least win one of those, and if you can steal another one of those
Yeah.
2 games, like it's not
And they
crazy to
beat New
think.
England.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
So they've already proven that they can beat one of the teams, and that's probably
Hmm.
the toughest opponent they have left.
Yeah, so it's not out of the question. Go over to the flip side. I thought about this about Saquon Barkley. He reminds me of that episode of The Office when they have discovered parkour and we're just like doing the part. Like that's kind of how he feels, where it's like every single run he's doing, it almost feels like he's trying to. Like he had one play where he like jumped for like absolutely no reason, and I was like, he's trying to do parkour out there. He's a good player, but it's very much. It feels a very like he's a football player, but he's like a parkour football player is how I would describe it.
I mean, he's incredibly athletic, isn't he? Like,
Sure,
if you
yeah.
catch the right play, it's like this guy's the best player in the world.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, it's so obvious that it was a mistake to draft a running back number 2 overall, right?
Unless that running back was Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, he can only do so much with the team around him. And
Yeah.
I mean, this is why the value of running backs have continually gone down. And it's unfortunate to say, but at the same time, he can't make this offense good.
Right. In hindsight, it also might have been better to have a better quarterback playing than Mike Glennon.
That is true. I think there's a few teams that probably would have said that today.
Hey, but that the Chicago Bears still paid him what, $15 million a year?
Who happened the Chicago Bears trade paid? They're so desperate to get anybody to be good at quarterback. They're paying, Joey Harrington's going to make a comeback soon. Joey Harrington with an irregular heartbeat is going to play for the Bears.
It's crazy that they never hit on any of these guys. We'll talk about the Bears later, or hopefully not. One thing I thought was good about the Giants, and the stat sheet won't show this, but I thought that they had the receiving core looked solid. I thought that they had, Kenny Galladay had some nice plays in this one, and even Evan Ingram had a nice catch in this one. So like I thought that with it being banged up, the receiving core did do some stuff. That's the plus side for the Giants. They're just not a great football team.
No, they've invested in that receiving core, and yeah, like you said, they had some moments. I would love to see Kadarius Toney on the field. But I think, I mean, they were fine. It's just, they don't have a good quarterback, and they don't have a good offensive line in front of their bad quarterback.
Yeah, and also Mike Gesicki made like a few just like incredible catches. I mean, the Dolphins had some. To talk about receiving cores, Devontae Parker had a really good catch in this one as well. So like, Waddle, Parker, Gesicki, they got several options. So that's kind of, and with Tua playing competent, they just hope that you don't have any. Oh, and also by the way, Jalen Phillips, I believe. So I don't know the numbers on this. I was looking this up. So last year, Chase Young had 24 pressures. Currently, Jalen Phillips has 21 pressures heading into this week. He had a pair of sacks in this. So as long as he had one more pressure, he would have already tied Chase Young. He might have already passed Chase Young in pressures as a rookie. Micah Parsons is getting all of the buzz, and rightfully so. But he's really come on. I believe he has 5 sacks in the past 2 games. So give him some love.
Yeah. And this is a guy we both really liked. How many games has he played this season? Has he been in all of them? But I've been a huge fan of his this season. I thought he's done really well.
Yeah, so good stuff. Also, looks very good in a Dolphins jersey. I think that's very aesthetically pleasing. 15 works well in a Dolphins jersey.
Sure.
Okay, you don't have a big opinion on. I believe he has played every game. Looking it up.
Yeah, I mean
he got to a slow start.
Yeah, he did, but he's coming on now, and I think he's doing a good job.
Yeah. All right, Kyle. Who do you think looks good in their jersey?
Looks good in whose jersey? The Dolphins?
Anyone's jersey. Just name a player who looks good in the jersey that they wear.
We can jump right into this game. How about Rob Gronkowski in that Bucs jersey right now?
Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's actually true, though. I think that maybe unpopular opinion, I think Brady might look better in a Bucs jersey than a Patriots jersey. Just aesthetically.
That's not. No, I'm not
in the chat.
Even
What do you think?
This.
Let us know in the chat. Just aesthetically, not saying what's more iconic.
I'm just not even entertaining this conversation.
All right. Tom Brady is going to win MVP, right?
I think so. I think he's been consistently probably the steadiest quarterback, and also had these big, it seems like every bad team they've played, he's got 4 touchdowns almost.
Mhm.
I think he's had some bad games this year, but at the same time, like he hasn't had like the absolute stinkers that like Josh Allen or Dak or Stafford have had. He hasn't
Mhm.
had those complete stinkers, unless you want to argue the Patriots game, which is fine, or the Saints game, I guess, too, is in that conversation. But even then, he had some moments. So he's probably the MVP for that reason. I think the only other one would be Kyler, but he missed time, right? Or Rodgers.
People have brought up Rodgers. I don't really get why. I feel like Rodgers has been fine. Like, I mean, if you're talking about bad games, Rodgers missed the game, and also the Saints game is still on his resume, and the Seahawks game is still on his
Yeah.
resume. So, like, I don't get how you can really. I think Rodgers leads the league in passer rating, so maybe that's, or at least he's high up there, so maybe that's how you say it. But I don't know. I mean, I think it's probably going to end up being Tom Brady.
Here's the problem. There's not going to, because unfortunately for Rodgers, regardless of your beliefs, the NFL media is not voting Aaron Rodgers the MVP.
Sure, that too. Hmm.
So I think that's going to be the biggest problem going against him.
I think that if it was obviously Rodgers, he would get it. But I think that, like, if there's a conversation, he's not going to get it.
Yeah, the Bucks are good. The Bucks are really good in this game. Chris Godwin. This looks just ridiculous, right? 17 targets, 15 catches, 143 yards.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
that looks like something you pull out of like an NCAA football game, like video
mhm.
game. That's an incredible game. Like I said, Gronkowski, 2 touchdowns, 58 yards on 4 catches. All their guys except for Antonio Brown, who wasn't here, showed up.
Yeah. This is a good comment. New Master 60 Mime just has like 100 emojis here.
Yeah, I can't decipher that, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, unfortunately, maybe a emoji translator could help us out. Yeah, no, a lot good. Vita Vea had 2 sacks, although he had 2 sacks against Jalen Mayfield. So I don't know, like maybe we count that as half a sack. What's the conversion rate on a sack where it's because you beat Jalen Mayfield?
0.25 to 1.
Okay, yeah, I think that's not really. It was. I mean, Jalen Mayfield just had one of those days for Atlanta. He's having a rough season.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
is
Okay.
this is another thing. Like this is kind of underrated compared to like the Giants and like some of these the Bears too.
Mm-hmm.
The Falcons have never been able to figure out this offensive line thing since that Super Bowl season.
Uh-huh.
Like
Right.
you constantly see Matt Ryan amongst the most sacked quarterbacks in the league.
Mm-hmm.
They just
Well,
have
and the
not
weird thing
figured
too
this
is like
out.
it's almost like like the Giants. Okay, they just can't get any offensive line. It's like the Falcons have some good offensive linemen, but then they'll have like a Jalen Mayfield like they have to start every week. Like they just can't seem to get consistency. It's always like they have. I feel like since that Super Bowl, they've always had like 3 good offensive linemen and 2 horrible ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. It's a weird situation. I don't know. Do you feel like I keep circling back to this? Do you think Ryan's on this team next year?
I don't know. I mean, I think his contract kind of makes it. I think yes. I think they might try to get a quarterback. But again, if they do that, I think they'll do it by a draft and they'll keep Ryan for that 1 year, at least.
Yeah, yeah, it's a
Mhm.
possibility. I think it's so tough though because it's like, do you just try and like give him an opportunity to go play for Pittsburgh for a year and see what happens?
You could. I mean, that's the other thing is like, do you see a team trading for him? Like, do you see a team like saying like, okay, we think we have a competitor? Like, could like Denver trade for Matt Ryan if they don't get Aaron Rodgers?
It's possible.
Hmm.
The tough thing is like, you know, they're not going to trade to the Panthers and Saints, who are quarterback needy teams, probably.
Hmm.
And then how many of these teams are going to try doing that again between Washington, Denver? Who are the other teams that did that too? I think there's a few different teams that they could look at. I don't know if they'll end up doing it though. We'll see.
Yeah. Back to Brady. We should mention he did have an interception. I felt it was kind of weird. Like it was on a screen pass. It's one of those dumb things where I always hate when it's like, okay, if you're going to run out the clock, take a knee and run out the clock. Like, what are you doing with
Mhm.
this screen pass? It ends up getting a 3-yard pick six. Brady should have probably seen it better. Again, if we're talking about him as an MVP, but it was also just kind of a fluky play. So I thought that was not spectacular.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It wasn't a good play. I,
Hmm.
I agree with that. And it weirdly made this game competitive for a second before Tampa just kind of put it away.
Yeah, it was kind of similar to like the last time these two teams played. Tampa Bay got way up, Atlanta made a game of it, and then Matt Ryan threw back-to-back pick sixes. There was no back-to-back pick sixes, but it was a similar trend of, looks like Tampa Bay gets close for a second, then Tampa Bay pulls away. Also a fascinating thing of the Buccaneers just started throwing the ball like all the time, which they should do. Like that's the correct strategy with this team. Brady threw the ball 51 times in this one. Brady's going to have incredible bulk stats this season. It's not going to be entirely representative of how he's played, but also like he's going to throw a lot of interceptions, and that's not representative of how he's played. So it's kind of just like one of those weird. I feel like his stat book. It's kind of one of those like box score stats are kind of meaningless.
Yeah, I'm pretty interested to see these next 2 weeks for Tampa. The Saints have been that weird matchup 2 weeks from now, but next week with Buffalo too. Yeah. I'm interested to see how they play these next couple of weeks and how, just what the ceiling of this team looks like.
Yeah, I think that if I had to predict, I would say to probably go 4-1 down the stretch, beating either Buffalo or New Orleans, probably New Orleans, but they can.
Uh-oh. Did we lose Jackson's Wi-Fi? There it goes. All right. So looks like we lost Jackson again. All right. Let's see. So yeah, he was talking about Tampa Bay schedule down the stretch. And yeah, I mean, he was just kind of going on about probably 4-1 down the stretch feels right. They probably could beat Buffalo.
Oh, we're back.
Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right.
Can you see me at all?
I can see you.
Okay. So, gotcha.
I was ready to start. I was ready to start just monologuing it.
Sorry, I missed you. I ruined your one-man show.
It's okay. You know what? I actually forgot to mention before this that I did my quarterback drinks list. I was about to go do that.
Okay, gotcha. Well, maybe should we say that to the end of the show, you think?
We can save it for the end.
Okay, here, I'll put it on. I'll write it on a banner so I don't forget in my notes. Everything else you want to add about this game?
No, I think we covered it. Bucks are good. NFC South is weird, so these games kind of end up weird, but it was a pretty comfortable win overall.
Yeah, listen, I'm a Tampa Bay fan. Some people are trying to poke holes in it. I'm like, hey, we're about to make the playoffs. This is great. Like, I still have this like whimsical, like the Super Bowl run has not changed like the way I view football whatsoever. I'm trying to enjoy it now because I know once Brady's gone, we're going downhill in a hurry. Oh, one last thing about Tampa Bay. If Tom Brady continues the pace he's on in terms of touchdowns and plays one more season, he would be the all-time Tampa Bay passing touchdown leader.
That's got to be the weirdest thing. I mean, is he the best Bucs quarterback ever? Like easily?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think like the only thing, the best argument now is like, okay, is it him, like Josh Freeman, or Jameis Winston?
Sleeping on Brad Johnson there, I gotta say.
That's true. Brad Johnson was good, although he had I think he had his best years with the Vikings.
That's true. He did, but he had a couple good years. Won a Super Bowl.
He did, yeah. One in particular, yeah. I think so. Yeah, pretty fun. I mean, Mike Evans broke the all-time receiving record for a Buccaneers player when he was 25 years old.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to look at the history of that team, right?
Yeah, we're an odd team. That's pretty funny. Let's move on.
I mean, that was really though the Patriots before the last 20 years. Like our best player of all time was an offensive guard. Until all of this.
Yeah. You guys acting like Tampa drafted Brady. I don't know what that means, but all right. Let's move on. Let's go to where do we want to go here? Let's just go to Eagles Jets. Minshew Mania is back, Kyle.
Uh-oh. I've been on this, haven't I? Like,
have you? What have you been on?
Well, I just said that he should have been on the team way before this, and he looked good. He looked really good in this game. Now, granted, it is the Jets, but I mean, he was a super efficient quarterback in this game. I liked what I saw to him. I liked what I saw to the Eagles, and this is kind of what I expect for the Eagles now. They're going to beat up bad teams. They definitely beat up the Jets team on offense. Saw a little bit of life out of the Jets offense, though. Saw a little bit of life out of Zach Wilson, I got to say.
Yeah, no, this was Zach Wilson looked as comfortable as he's looked so far in an NFL game. I mean, 3 touchdowns on the first 3 drives. There's a funny Dan Hansis of the great Around the NFL podcast tweeted out that only the Jets could be 3 drives into the game, have scored 3 touchdowns, and still be down 3 points, which is really true, which is such a Jets statistic that happened. Yeah, I mean, Zach Wilson, he still made some mistakes. He threw an interception that almost looked like he thought his tight end was going to go further, but still probably not the best decision. And then the other one, he had one where it wasn't an interception, but could have been. So there's still some growing pains of Wilson, but at least he looked competent. So that's, you have any final thoughts about the Jets, or want to go back to the Eagles?
Once again, kind of falling under the radar, just because there's been so many good rookie wide receivers. Elijah Moore continues to show stuff. I liked what I saw from him. So, I thought that was good. Let's go to the Eagles, though, because that's the interesting part. They're still half game out of a playoff spot. Is there a controversy?
Oh, yeah, there's a controversy. I mean, I don't know. I mean, so here's what we know. Here's what we learned about Gardner Minshew in this game, is that he can beat up the Jets. Like, that's what we've learned about him, which it's better than if he sucked against the Jets. But we still don't. I mean, again, a lot of people have beat up on the Jets. We still kind of have to wait a little bit before we can really say he's the starter. But there's definitely a controversy. And, especially with the running game was still effective, even with Minshew in. I think that's kind of the one way that you're thinking about. Hurts can help out the running game, but if you're still running the ball well with Minshew is the better passer of the two. So maybe Minshew's a good quarterback. I remember when I did a top backup quarterbacks list heading into the season, because it's the off season, you got to make content somehow. And Gardner Minshew was my favorite backup quarterback. Like, he's not a bad quarterback. I mean,
through his years with 2 years with Jacksonville, and then this game, he's got 39 touchdowns to 11 interceptions in his career.
Yeah, that's good.
And he's missed some time too. So that's pretty good numbers. I thought he was impressive in this game. So I definitely think there's a conversation to have. And I don't know if they definitely don't start him this year. I think somebody's going to get him, right? Somebody's going to have to say this guy can be a starter in the NFL and give him a shot, right?
Yeah, well, it was just one of those weird things. Like, I remember I was saying, Carolina, why not also take a shot at Minshew, right? Like, maybe he sucks and this is just one good game. That's totally possible. But if you're going to put that much faith in Sam Darnold, why not someone who's actually been established, to be a solid quarterback in the NFL on a team that has not really struggled for the most part?
Yeah. I mean, there's a few teams that could have done. Denver, too, is another one that could have given him a shot. Houston was dying for anybody to play quarterback. There's plenty of teams that couldn't give him a shot to start. I think Eagles did a really good job of saying, you know what, we like Hurts, but at the same time, this is a cheap asset that we're going to go ahead and get, and backup quarterbacks are valuable.
Yeah, and even a team like Pittsburgh, you could honestly even say a team like Tampa Bay, get him as your backup and maybe hope that he can beat it. Because the one interesting thing about this controversy, I think, it's actually very similar to last year's quarterback controversy, where you have Carson Wentz and you have Jalen Hurts, and it's kind of typically when you have these controversies. For example, I remember when Tampa Bay had a controversy between Ryan Fitzpatrick and Jameis Winston, and they went with the younger guy in Jameis Winston, which I think is typically the right move. Go with the guy that has a chance to have a great future. But here, Jalen Hurts is 23, Gardner Minshew is 25. So both of them have that opportunity. It would be a little bit funny if Philadelphia decides to go with either Hurts or Minshew, and then the other one ends up being a solid quarterback, and they have three different guys on their roster that are solid quarterbacks, and they go, they get the wrong one, or two different, and they pick the third one.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting conversation to have. I don't know how long Hurts is supposed to be out, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we have a super sticker in the chat. We appreciate that. T-minus 548. Also, Base Zuckerberg, interested to see if Zach Wilson climbed the Jets quarterback rankings. Yes, Kyle, where is the Jets quarterback ranking at now? And also, where is the Eagles quarterback ranking at?
Yeah, so we're going to have to go with the Jets here first. Big week for Zach Wilson. He's going to jump all the way up to my number 2 spot. I still got Josh Johnson at number 1 after his electric performance. Zach Wilson still at 2. He jumps the big man Joe Flacco, who's sitting at 3. And unfortunately, bringing out the rear is good old Mike White. So that's my rankings.
And then for the Eagles, if you had to put the Eagles in there, Eagles quarterbacks along with the Jets quarterbacks, where are you putting them?
Gardner probably 1, Hurts probably 2, then the Jets quarterbacks.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think there's any. What about, let's say this. You get all 4 of the Jets quarterbacks, or it's a grab bag. You're getting 1 of the Eagles quarterbacks.
I'll take the Eagles quarterbacks.
Okay, even just the 1, you'll take that over 4 shots.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and we're talking right now, obviously not for a
Yeah.
career.
Yeah, obviously I take the Jets if it says 10 years of building around Zach Wilson, but
Right,
you know.
exactly.
So
But yeah, again, like there's a good sequence when Zach Wilson. I made a video about it where like there was a play where he's done this a few times this season where like he has an open receiver, it's a small window, and he just like fires a bullet and just hits off the receiver's hands. He just can't catch it. Doesn't have the right touch on it. And then the very next play, Wilson had a similar play, and you saw him pull it back a little bit. It's like little stuff like that. That's what's cool to see him learn and grow. And again, with Wilson, he's always been all right at the difficult stuff. This is the first game where the easy stuff came easy for him. So signs of growth.
yeah, I mean, I think there's signs of growth.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, I continue to say I've seen flashes from all these guys. I mean, I understand that the data probably shows that rookie quarterbacks, you probably 50% of them are going to be good, and we don't know yet. But I've seen flashes out of him, and I feel good about it.
Yeah. One final thought. Also, the Eagles also have 4 divisional games to end their season. So what is the schedule maker doing, getting all these NFC East teams just playing each other the last month? Also, feels weird saying that the last 4 games of the season like that. I don't like that. I don't like saying that about a team. There should be more football left. The Eagles play Washington twice, the Giants, and the Cowboys. We keep talking about the Eagles could make the playoffs because of their weak schedule. The difficulty there is they're the Eagles, so they have to actually win these games. It's not out of question. We see the Eagles come postseason time.
The East is just going to start beating each other. Each of these teams are going to go 1-1 over these last games, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, if that happens, then Minnesota gets in at 7-10.
Yeah, exactly. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, all these teams. I mean, I feel like they definitely just looked at this and said the NFC East is so bad. Let's just let them play for it at the end of the year.
Right. Well, I remember last year we kept saying, okay, one of these teams is going to, go on a run and win 4 out of the 5 divisional matchups they have. And then that just never happened. And the Washington football team got in with 7 wins. Interesting to see what happens here. Fun stuff. A lot of teams have a chance still. That's what we want, right? We want as many teams to still be playing for stuff the last few games of the season. 3 games left to talk about. Let's go to the Thanksgiving game. We saw
week after Thanksgiving.
Or why did I say Thanksgiving? Week after Thanksgiving. Yes. You wish it was Thanksgiving again, probably.
I do. I will say, though, the one thing I learned from this game, I don't think Taysom Hill is going to make it in the league. I know he's a promising young quarterback, but didn't seem like it's going to last.
Well, don't give up. I mean, he's only 31. Okay, there's still time.
he's got plenty of time to figure this out. I don't know. It didn't work. It didn't work. No. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, this was a tough one for the Saints. I mean, the reality is Taysom Hill is not the worst option in the world. Did have over 100 yards rushing, so you have that, but he's mostly used for a gadget type role. I think is the way it works, and good get right week for Dallas here.
Wouldn't you think if he just moved to tight end, he'd be a decent football player?
I mean, isn't that basically what he is?
Well, not when he's playing, freaking quarterback.
Well, but I mean, he's playing quarterback because their starting quarterback is injured.
Yeah, but this is another team where it's like, hey, we talk about all these teams that could have used Gardner Minshew. This team paid Taysom Hill. They willingly said Taysom Hill is going to be a quarterback option for us in the future, rather than getting an actual quarterback.
I mean, Sean Payton said he's like Steve Young.
I mean, yeah, that's a mistake. That's poor judgment. I might have to dock him down the coaching rankings just by saying that. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think
was he referring to something else? Maybe he's as good at playing Go Fish as Steve Young is.
Was he drunk? I don't know.
Maybe, probably.
It just seems. I don't know. I think. I just think he should be a full-time tight end. I think he'd be a decent tight end. I
mean, he is a tight end. I feel like you're saying he should be what he is. He's playing out of position for this game, but that's not what he typically does.
Well, he definitely shouldn't be behind center ever. That's how I feel.
I mean, I don't even agree with that. I think there's times when he should be behind center, just not he shouldn't have to throw the ball 41 times. If he's throwing the ball 41 times a game, you're never winning. You're never going to win a game, and maybe they have won a game like that. But that's just not a good strategy.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. But it's
Mhm.
like, the Dallas side of this. I didn't even think that Dallas's offense played that well.
No,
Um, you
but
know,
part of it too is like the Saints defense too.
yeah, Saints defense played well.
Mhm.
Pollard hit the big play, and that was kind of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that really. I mean the numbers are totally misleading in terms of the rushing game because like, oh, Tony Pollard, wow, 7 carries, 71 yards. He must have been way better than Zeke. It's like no, he had that one big play. Uh,
158-yard run.
yeah, that was really the difference. But receiving core was really great in this one. That's the kind of the one like they had to make tough catches consistently against the Saints, but like Michael Gallup had a really good touchdown catch. I thought CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper both had good plays in this one as well. And Dalton Schultz, I think he's a guy who doesn't get brought up a lot. He's good. Dalton Schultz, maybe a Pro
Mhm.
Bowler this year.
I mean, they got plenty of options to work with. I mean, they
Hmm.
got 2 running backs, they got 3 wide receivers, maybe 4 wide receivers if you include Cedric Wilson at times.
Hmm.
You throw Schultz in there. So, I mean, this team's loaded with weapons.
And even Prescott can move himself. He can. He's a threat to run at times as well. So you got plenty. Yeah, plenty of things that can go well. Ready to move on?
Yeah,
All right, 2 games left. They're both good ones.
we can
We
move on.
saved the best for last here. Let's go Colts Texans. You said 8.5 points, way too small of a spread. If it was 30 points, it still would have been too small of a spread here. Davis Mills, who it's just hilarious that Davis Mills has gotten as much playing time as he had this year. Like poor Davis Mills, he was supposed to be a guy who gets drafted, is in the league for a couple years, and then never has to actually play. It's cruel to him to make him play NFL football, I think. But this was just a tough loss for the Texans, and that's saying something because they're already the Texans.
Yeah. So do you realize the Colts have outscored the Texans 62-3 this season?
Incredible. That's fantastic stuff.
62-3. I mean, that's
Mhm.
that's ownership. That's straight ownership.
Mhm.
They didn't have to throw the ball a lot. Carson really didn't do anything in this game. But I thought Michael Pittman actually did some good stuff. And I mean, Jonathan Taylor continues. I mean, I feel like they're really just trying to push him for Offensive Player of the Year at this point.
Yeah,
I mean,
this felt like a stat, but carried the ball 32 times. Was that a
32
mistake to
carries.
give him so many carries? Like why are we giving let Naheem Hines get some carries here? Like why are you risking hurting Jonathan Taylor playing the stupid Texans?
My fantasy team liked it, but at the same time, he did
Uh-huh.
fumble at the end of the game too off of it. But yeah, I mean, it seemed like this was a let's get this guy Offensive Player of the Year numbers.
Yeah, that could be something. But again, is that a smart strategy when you're competing for a playoff spot and you have, the I guess you have a bye week coming up, so maybe that was it.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. It was a little weird to see him just keep going. Um,
Hmm.
and they got running back. Isn't Marlon Mack still on the team, or is he hurt? Did I miss something?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe I would have to look that up.
Yeah, very. I mean, this team's pretty good though. This team's probably a playoff team too, isn't it?
Probably, I think they're a playoff. I think they're a top 7 team in the AFC. Let's say that because again, they play the Patriots and the Cardinals their next 2 games, and then they have the Raiders as well. Finish the season against Jacksonville, but like
Yeah.
it's just a tough schedule. They have to find a way to win at least one of those, the first 3 games, and maybe probably 2 of those. So are you going to beat Arizona or are you going to beat New England? Those are just tough games that you have to win.
Yeah, I mean, I guess once Buffalo loses tomorrow night, they'll be 7-5. The Chargers 7-5 and Bengals 7-5, and they got to find a way to crack those three. So,
Wow. Again, Patriot. It's crazy. I had to say, Kyle, I've never been a Patriots hater. Like I've always kind of like, I feel like I would typically root against them, but not in like I would be devastated when they won kind of thing. I just, you typically root for the underdog, but like I think I'm kind of becoming a bit of a Patriots hater this year. I think a little bit. Like I think it's a little bit frustrating that they rebuild this quickly. Impressive, but a little bit frustrating.
um, uh, I mean, I can't really say anything. I'm enjoying it.
All right. Yeah, sure. Again, I'm sure people are frustrated that Tom Brady's still playing well at 44. And I don't care about
Yeah.
what you think about that. So there you go. Super chat Negan says, who has a better chance of landing Russell Wilson, Vikings or Steelers? I think probably neither, right? Probably he stays in Seattle.
I mean, unless he really tries to double. I mean, the problem was is he didn't really want to leave. He just like suggested, "Hey, if you want to
Hmm.
leave, I'll go here."
Yeah, it was that
Um,
weird, like, if I do get traded, these are the teams I want you to trade me to.
Yeah. And the problem is that Minnesota and Pittsburgh were not on the list. And I don't see Minnesota ending up on the list, so I don't feel like that's an option.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, maybe.
I would say, yeah. If I think that the Kirk Cousins contract would stand in the way, like I could see Pittsburgh. That would be interesting. Let's go to final game: Jaguars Rams here. The you know, I mean, this is a good bounce back win for the Rams, and they've kind of had some tough games. And I know you could say it's just Jacksonville, but you at least this is what you want to do if a get right game, right? Win by 30, and that's what they did. And like, is it fair to say like the Odell Beckham experiment has like already worked out? Just like with a couple of catches, like he had some good plays in this one, only 2 catches, but like, I mean, for what little you're spending on him, like that's good enough as it is. He had a really cool touchdown in this one. A couple plays where they're still just missing. So you want to see him get that, but like Odell's still so explosive and so shifty. Like it's baffling to me that he doesn't get more yards because you'd think that he would just go off every game.
Yeah. I completely agree. I mean, he did well in this game, I thought. I mean, I thought all the Rams guys did pretty well. Good for them for, Van Jefferson's become a real, seems like third option for them. Tyler Higbee's in that category too. So it seems like they're going to be okay without the Woods for this season. I mean, I didn't really take anything away from this game. The Jaguars just are terrible. So I thought it was a good, like you said, it was a good performance for the Rams.
Yeah, it's what you want to do against a bad team. Again, all we know is that they're good enough to blow out the Jaguars. Like, what does that tell us, really? Let me ask you this. Do you think that this game says more so that we maybe overreacted to them losing to a few good teams with, the Niners, the Packers, and the Titans? Or did we overreact to them beating some bad teams and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers earlier on? And the Colts.
I don't know yet. It's tough to tell because it's just like, the Buccaneers didn't beat a good team last year until the playoffs, but they ended up beating those good teams. The tough thing about losing to good teams during the season is you eventually have to beat good teams to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think just through right now, we're still not entirely sure if the Rams can do that. We think they have the talent to do that, but this defense still at times doesn't seem like it's as good as it was last year. Sonny Michel is good in this game, but can Sonny Michel be good enough to be a number one running option and keep this offense a little balanced? I don't know yet. I think it's going to be tough for them, but I still think that they're going to be good.
Yeah. So a lot of people in the chat saying no because Stafford, can't win a playoff game or whatever. I mean, I think that it's weird. I feel people are way too on one side or the other with Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford's he's a good quarterback. He might not be elite quarterback, but he's a good quarterback.
So what? How many playoff games does he play? He's 0-3?
0-3, 0-2, something like that. And one of them was that weird Dallas game where, like there was that flag that got picked up.
Yeah. I don't know how you could watch those Lions teams and say that, like, oh, he's definitely not a playoff caliber quarterback because he was on the Lions.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a little silly. But yeah, then it should be interesting. I think that I still feel like there is like the Elite Five in the NFC, and I think that there's still clearly, I think that there's like an inner circle of the top 3 with the Cardinals, the Packers, and the Buccaneers. But I think that there's still the outer circle with the Rams and the Cowboys of if they get hot at the right time, they could do some damage.
I might have a separate circle for the Rams and Cowboys. I might have.
So you don't. Okay, I see. Well, we're kind of saying the same thing here because I do say there's a top inner 3 and an outer 3.
No, I said the inner 3 and then a secondary circle, outer circle. That's like a middle circle. That's the Rams, and then an outer circle. That's the Cowboys.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. Interesting.
Yeah.
So why do you feel better about the Rams than the Cowboys?
I don't know. I feel like this Cowboys defense is kind of cooled off outside of Taysom Hill literally throwing them the ball. I feel like this Cowboys defense can be unconvincing at times. They've had some injuries on the defensive line, which I think is a problem. Even though Parsons continues to play really well. And even like this offense that we talk about all the studs on it, I feel like the offense at times looks unconvincing. I mean, I think it's a good team. I don't know if it's a great team like I think those other 4 teams can be.
Yeah, they're interesting. Again, it might be a bit too star dependent, but those stars are good, and we'll see how they can gel come postseason time. So that should be fascinating. The Jaguars played in this game. Trevor Lawrence's numbers weren't impressive, but also like he had not. I mean, this is one of those games where it's like if you're not checking the ball down every time, you're throwing it into double coverage every time. Like nothing was getting open for Jacksonville. This is just one of those games. Like I don't know what we learned. Like think about Trevor Lawrence.
I mean, we said this last week, and the theme stays true. If Laquan Treadwell is your number one receiver, it's a problem.
Yeah.
So that's an issue.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Final segment. We're done with the games. Quarterback drinks list. Kyle, well, you take the floor here.
All right, I'll go through this as quickly as I can. I actually forgot to
make a meal out of it.
I actually almost forgot to do this and scrambled to do it real quick, so we'll see how this does.
Okay.
Patrick Mahomes. This isn't in any particular order because I was just looking at the teams list and kind of named them off.
Sure.
So if I forget anyone, don't kill me.
Let's set this up. What are we doing here?
So I'm comparing each NFL quarterback to a particular alcohol. There's no parameters to this whatsoever. It's just, me coming up with something on the fly and kind of going with it and, explaining it until it makes sense.
So we're doing all 32 quarterbacks here.
All 32. I have 32 players on this list.
Okay. Well, again, take the floor. Let's get into it.
All right. So Patrick Mahomes, I have Don Julio tequila. This is definitely a big baller kind of tequila. You love it. Everyone loves it when it's at a party. Teddy Bridgewater's PBR.
Sure.
PBR because you can get by in a pinch with PBR, but you don't necessarily love it.
Yep, good one. Mm-hmm.
Lamar Jackson, Ciroc. This is a statement drink. People love it when it shows up to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Big Ben, Four Loko. It was cool 10 years ago. Kirk Cousins. I mentioned this one before. Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels by itself, not too great. But when you have, you have Justin Jefferson, you have a little bit of Coke, maybe a little bit of lime. It kind of works well. Jared Goff, Bud Light Lime. It kind of sits in your fridge forever when you're 20 and you're desperate to get rid of it. Matt Ryan is Kraken Rum, spiced rum. It's good, but it leaves a little bit to be desired. That's the way I see it.
It's a tier 2 alcohol.
Basically. Brady, McAllen 12. Pretty straightforward. Age is great. Everybody loves it. Classy drink. Kyler Murray is Moet Champagne. Every day is just a party with that guy.
That's a good one.
Andy Dalton's Everclear. You're trying to forget the days you drank it, even though you had fun. Justin Herbert is Crown Royal Apple. Kind of new to the party, but it's a electric drink.
Sure.
Joe Burrow is Kettle One. Massively underrated and, surprisingly smooth. Carson Wentz is Absinthe. It's an adventure that leaves you sick to your stomach.
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor's Natty Light, which is similar to Teddy Bridgewater with PBR, but the difference with Natty Light is you feel a little bit worse about it.
That's true. Yeah.
Daniel Jones is Absolute Vodka. We're still we're kind of over the taste. Tua Tagovailoa's Kona Beer. He's Hawaiian, and we also aren't sure if it's good. Jalen Hurts is Remy Martin, or basically any sort of cognac. It's kind of like, it's unique, and you kind of have to grow up with it to like it. I feel like you either love Jalen Hurts or you hate Jalen Hurts. Zach Wilson, Screwball Whiskey, peanut butter whiskey. It's kind of different and unique, and it's new. And we're going to see how it ages.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I like that.
Taylor Henneke is Fireball. It's just, it's a whirlwind.
Yeah.
I actually put Derek Carr as the same as Joe Burrow. This is awesome.
That's fine.
I'll have Derek Carr down as, let's go with, I'll change this up. Let's go with Derek Carr is going to be, let's go Hendrix Gin. Massively underrated.
Okay. I don't think I've ever had that.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence, proper number 12 Irish whiskey. It's new to the Irish whiskey name, but it's got a lot of promise.
Sure.
Matthew Stafford is Jameson Irish whiskey. He's everything we want Trevor Lawrence to be.
Yeah.
Mac Jones is Aviation Gin. You kind of appreciate gin when you're older in life, but at the same time, it's a newer gin, and we're kind of interested to see what the ceiling of it is.
Okay.
Josh Allen is a Long Island iced tea. It's a lot of things put together, and sometimes it can be made really poorly. but when it's
Mhm.
right, it's one of the best drinks.
That's a good one.
Baker Mayfield's Grey Goose, massively overrated and overpriced. Um,
Well, shots fired at Baker Mayfield.
Ryan Tannehill, Jamaican Rum, really gets you going, and nice bang for your buck because it's usually 100 proof.
I also
Um,
feel like much like Ryan Tannehill, goes well with if you have mix it with other stuff like effectively. Put
yeah,
it in the
exactly.
right drink. That's where it really can be successful.
Yeah, rum's a versatile beverage.
Uh-huh.
Dak is Tito's vodka. It's a also Texas and also solid.
Uh-huh.
Everyone likes it.
Might be maybe reaching a little bit here with it's a solid drink and Dak is solid.
I mean, everybody likes it. That's the thing.
That's
Everyone likes Dak. Everyone
fair.
likes
That's
Dak
true.
Prescott.
Hmm.
Taysom Hill is Saint Germain liqueur. It looks interesting. The bottle looks cool when you see it at the store. I really don't
Hmm.
get the appeal though.
Uh-huh.
Cam Newton is Jaeger. You probably don't want it anymore on your shelf. Um, Aaron Rodgers is Belvedere vodka. Same thing to like a Don Julio. It's a real go getter as far as the vodkas go. Big statement drink when you bring it. You're drinking classy vodka there. Um, Russell Wilson is Bacardi because it's always a wild night with the Seahawks.
Uh-huh. That's a good one.
And Jimmy G is White Claw because if you think it sucks, you underrate. If you think it sucks, you underrate it. If you think
Hmm.
it's amazing, you overrate it, and the ladies
Hmm.
love it. So
Yeah, there you go. That's a perfect. Well done. Round of applause in the
there it
chat
is.
for Kyle. Incredible stuff by you, Kyle.
I tried my best. I almost forgot to do it, but it worked out. Some of those are pretty good.
Yeah, no, I like that. That was fun. Again, I really went above and beyond. You could have just done like your 10 favorite.
No, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do all 32.
Yeah, well done, Luke Brown. We see a lot of applauses in the chat. So good work, everyone. We have a super chat that happened right at the beginning. I didn't want to step on your bit. Worst team in the NFL, the Jets.
Still Detroit.
Okay, all right. Well, there we go. All right, so that's our show. Kyle, let them know where they can find us before we head out.
Yeah, make sure to follow Jackson at Jackson Kruger on Twitter. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Gronin on Twitter. And make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That's at On the Sideline JK.
Yes, it should be fun. We'll be back as always Wednesday at 9 o'clock Eastern to preview every game. Make sure you check out the preview shows. If you're an audio only fan, you like to listen to audio only, we have the audio only podcast available anywhere you get your podcast. Or if you're someone who stumbled onto us there, check out the YouTube channel, Jackson Kruger Sports on YouTube. I'm not sure how many people have found me that way, but maybe some. So check that out. Kyle, any final thoughts before we head out?
Looking forward to tomorrow night. Let's go get it. Number 1 seed in the AFC, baby.
Yeah, you're very much all right. So, what is your plan for tomorrow?
Well, I got to work.
Yeah, that's tough.
After
I was wondering, 'cause I think you typically work Mondays. I remember.
Yeah. After work, I'll probably swing by the store to pick up a few things. I got nachos all set, so I got nachos ready to cook.
Uh-huh.
And then I'll have, probably take my dog for a walk and, mentally prepare myself, go over
Mhm.
my game film one more time, look up my assignments, talk with Coach Belichick one more time about what he needs me to do on the field.
Right.
And then, I'm just going to get ready to play from there.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize this, but Kyle and Bill Belichick actually have a really close relationship. There's a lot of pre-game talk about, a lot of times he'll say, "Hey, you actually, make sure like you don't let Josh Allen go off." He'll be like, "Oh, good point, Kyle."
Yeah, that's my analysis. I'm the official 54th player on the New England Patriots.
Yeah, there you go.
They just don't know yet.
You can't say 12th man because that's copyrighted.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yes,
I'm the 54th man.
Exactly. Don't retire 54 in your honor. Yeah. All right.
I think it's already retired. Teddy Bruschi.
Oh well. Okay. I need to read up on my Patriots history.
Come on, man.
All right. Well, again, thanks to everyone for watching or listening. We do appreciate it. And until next time, see you later, alligator.
Peace.